Hello children, this is Vishalsa from Ikra High School. Today we would be concluding part 2 for chapter 14 from standard 10 NCERT syllabus. Our today's topic would be alternative or non-conventional source of energy. This is the second part of energy. Earlier in the first part you studied about conventional sources of energy. That means the energy that were already used from the very past. But now we are utilizing another type of energy for our daily work. Let's continue reading this chapter first. With technological process, our demand for energy increases day by day. Our lifestyles are also changing. We use machines to do more and more of our tasks. Our basic requirement are also increasing as industrialization improves our living standard. Our demand for energy increases. We need to look for more and more sources of energy. So the energy that we already used from the past, that means the conventional sources of energy, are now limited. They cannot be utilized everywhere. We also saw the limitations of those conventional sources of energy. So now we have started to find the alternative sources of energy because of the high demand of energy of us. We could develop the technology to use the available or known source of energy more efficiently and also look at new source of energy. Any new source of energy we seek to exploit would need specific devices developed with that source in mind. We shall now look up some of the latest source of energy that we seek to tap and the technology designed to capture and store energy from that source. The first unconventional source of energy is solar energy. It was available from the very past, but we never thought of utilizing solar energy as the main source of energy. The sun has been radiating an enormous amount of energy at the present rate for nearly 5 billion years and will continue radiating at the rate for about 5 million more. That means it is going to be available and at the same rate without depletion, without pollution also. Only a small part of solar energy reaches outer layer of the earth atmosphere. Nearly half of it is absorbed while passing through the atmosphere and rest reaches the earth's surface. So though it is available at a very low rate, but that low rate is also very high for the earth. As you can see over here, India is lucky to receive solar energy for greater part of the year. It is estimated that during a year, India receives energy equivalent to more than 5,000 trillion kilowatt hour. That is definitely limitless energy obtained through sun. Let's do an activity so that we can understand the amount of sunlight we are obtaining and what we can do. Take two conical flasks and paint one white and other black. Fill both with water. Place the conical flask in direct sunlight for half an hour to 1 hour. Touch the conical flask, which one is hotter. You could also measure the temperature of the water in the two conical flasks with a thermometer. So this activity states that the black surface absorbs more heat as compared to white or as a reflecting surface under identical conditions. Solar cooker and solar water heater use this property in their working. Some solar cooker achieve a higher temperature by using mirror to focus the rays of the sun. Solar cooker are covered with glass plate. So the way we experimented over here with about the colors, that is the same utilization done in solar cooker. It is easy to see that these devices are useful only at a certain times during the day, not throughout the day. Here a solar panel is there which converts the heat energy of the sun into electrical energy. A box given over here stores the battery. This limitation of solar using solar energy is overcome by using solar cell that converts solar energy into electricity. A typical cell develops a voltage of 0.5 to 1 volt and can produce about 0.7 watt of electricity when exposed to sun. Large number of solar cells are combined in an arrangement called solar cell panel. This is one of the practical use. Street lights are run through solar energy. The principal advantages associated with solar cell are that they have no moving parts, also require little maintenance and work quite satisfactory without the use of any focusing device. Another disadvantage is that they can be set up in remote and inaccessible hamlets or very sparsely inhabited areas in which laying of a power transmission line may be expensive and not commercially viable. Silicon, which is used for making solar cell, is abundant in nature. but availability of the special grade silicon for making solar cell is limited. Though silicon is there in our environment, but the special grade silicon that is used for making solar cell is limited. The entire process of manufacture is still very expensive. Silver used for interconnection of the cell in the panel further adds to the cost. So this is one of the limitation, that it is expensive to make solar panels. In spite of the high cost and low efficiency, solar cells are used for many scientific and technological applications. Artificial satellites and space probes like Mars orbiter use solar cell as the main source of energy. Radios or wireless transmission system or TV relay stations in remote locations use solar cell panels. Traffic signals, calculators and many toys are fitted with solar cell. The solar cell panel are mounted on a specifically designed inclined rooftop so that more solar energy is incident over it. The domestic use of solar cell is however limited to high cost. Energy from the sea. Now this is one more alternative source of energy, and here you can have two different type of energy. One is tidal energy, another is wave energy. Due to the gravitational pull of mainly the moon on the spinning earth, the level of water in the sea rises and falls. If you live near the sea or even travel to some place near the sea, try and observe how the sea level changes during the day. This change is normally twice the day. This phenomenon is called high and low tide, and the difference in the sea level gives us tidal energy. Tidal energy is harnessed by constructing a dam across a narrow opening to the sea. So here you have to build a dam which collects the sea water when it is high tide, and when it is low tide you have to release that water into the sea again, which can in turn generate the turbine and produce electricity through generator. A turbine fixed at the opening of the dam converts tidal energy to electricity. So students, now let's study wave energy. Similarly, the kinetic energy possessed by huge waves near the seashore can be trapped in a similar manner to generate electricity. The waves are generated by a strong wind blowing across the sea. Wave energy could be viable propositions only where waves are very strong. A variety of devices have been developed to trap wave energy for rotation of turbine and production of electricity. Our next topic for alternative sources of energy is ocean thermal energy. The water at the surface of the sea or ocean is heated by the sun when the water in deeper section is relatively cold. So the upper layer of the water body and the deeper layer of the water body has two different temperatures, and that difference of temperature can be utilized to generate electricity. This difference in the temperature is exploited to obtain energy in ocean thermal energy conversion plants. These plants can operate if the temperature difference between the water at the surface and water at the depth of about 2 km is 20 Kelvin or more. So it should be 20 degrees centigrade or more difference in the temperature, only then the two difference in the temperature can generate electricity. The warm surface water is used to boil a volatile liquid like ammonia. Vapor of the liquid are then used to run the turbine of generator. The cold water from the depth of the ocean is pumped up and condensed vapor again to a liquid. The energy potential from the sea, that is tidal energy, wave energy and ocean thermal energy, is quite large, but efficient commercial exploitation is difficult. So to generate electricity from ocean is a typical task. Complex construction should be built up, then proper equipment should be there, and it is a rather costly way to generate electricity. Though you, if possible, can construct and can generate electricity, the electricity generated would not be of higher efficiency. So now let's talk about the energy of the heat obtained from the earth, which we call geothermal energy. Due to geological changes, molten rock formed in the deeper hot regions of the earth crust are pushed upward and trapped in certain regions called hotspots. When underground water comes in contact with the hotspot, steam is generated. Sometimes, hot water from that region finds outlet at the surface. Such outlets are known as hot springs. The steam trapped in the rock is routed through a pipe to a turbine and used to generate electricity. The cost of production would not be much, but there are very few commercially viable sites where such energy can be exploited. So on earth, not all the places have such hotspots, and so we cannot convert that energy into some usable energy by us. So that is also one of the limitation of using geothermal energy. There are number of power plants based on geothermal energy operational in New Zealand and United States of America. So these two countries have some amount of hotspots in their land, and they are utilizing it to generate electricity. But everywhere it is not possible. Nuclear energy. It is just like producing heat energy through nucleus like uranium, thorium, plutonium, which are heavy metals, and it produces lot of heat when they are exploited in fusion or fission process. How is nuclear energy generated? In a process called nuclear fission, the nucleus of a heavy metal such as uranium, plutonium, thorium, when bombarded with a low energy neutron, can be split apart into lighter nuclei. When this is done, a tremendous amount of energy is released if the mass of the original nucleus is just a little more than the sum of the mass of the individual product. The sun produces energy in this manner only. It produces energy through fusion. What we are just now reading is nuclear fission, that is the splitting of neutron by a lighter neutron. The fission of an atom of uranium, for example, produced 10 million times of energy produced by the combustion of atom of carbon from coal. So the energy is tremendously of high level as compared to that of coal. In a nuclear reactor designed for electric power generation, such nuclear fuel can be a part of self-sustaining fission chain reaction that releases energy at a controlled rate. So man has been successful in establishing such power plants. We in Gujarat have such power plants in Kakrapar also, that is situated near Ukai, and it generates electricity through nuclear power sources. The energy can be used to produce steam and further generate electricity. So instead of producing steam through coal, we utilize uranium, a heavy atom, generates a high amount of energy which converts water into steam. But just like all other sources of energy, this alternative sources also has limitations. A major hazard is the storage and disposal of spent or used fuels. That means after the fuel is used, you cannot simply throw it away in the open environment. Even the water that was used to convert into steam cannot be released into water bodies directly. It contains highly active elements of alpha, beta and gamma rays. The uranium still decaying into harmful subatomic particles or radiations. Improper nuclear waste storage and disposal result in environmental contamination. Further, there is a risk of accidental leakage of nuclear radiation. The high cost of installation of a nuclear power plant, high risk of environmental contamination and limited availability of uranium make large scale use of nuclear energy prohibitive. Nuclear energy was first used for destructive purpose before nuclear power stations were designed. So the bombs thrown on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were such examples. The fundamental physics of the fission chain reaction in a nuclear weapon is similar to the physics of a controlled nuclear reactor, but the two types of device are engineered quite differently. Now, what are the environmental consequences after using these sources of energy? We have studied various sources of energy in the previous section. Exploiting any source of energy disturbs the environment in some way or the other. Absolutely true that if you utilize the different sources of energy, indirectly you are exploiting the environment or you are disturbing the proper cycle of the environment. In any given situation, the source we would choose depend on the factors such as the ease of extracting energy from that source, the economic of extracting energy from the source, the efficiency of technology available and the environmental damage that will caused by using the source. So these four factors are kept in mind while using any source of energy. Though we talk of clean fuel like CNG, it would be more exact to say that a particular source is cleaner than the other. That means Now that we have started using CNG in auto rickshaws and even heavy vehicles, it is not the cleanest part of any source of energy. It is just a cleaner part. That means from petrol and diesel, CNG is a little cleaner, but not the cleanest. We have already seen that the burning fossil fuel causes air pollution. In some cases, the actual operation of the device, like the solar cell, may be pollution free, but the assembly of the device would have caused some environmental damage. Research continues in this area to produce longer lasting devices that cause less damage throughout their life. So, how long will an energy source at last? We saw earlier that we cannot depend on the fossil fuel for much longer time. Such source that will get depleted some days are said to be exhaustible source or non-renewable source of energy. On the other hand, if we manage biogas by replacing the trees we cut down for firewood, we can be assured of a constant supply of energy at a particular rate. Such energy sources that can be regenerated are called renewable source of energy. The renewable energy is available in our natural environment in some form of some continuing or repetitive current of energy, or it is stored in such large underground reservoirs that the rate of depletion of reservoir because of extraction of usable energy is practically negligible. So the energy that we obtain is only renewable if it is obtained in a continuing or repetitive current of energy, or it is still not accessible to us, or it is still far away from us. So we can say the energy is renewable only in these circumstances. Thank you, children.